This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. It's a Wednesday night. Got a great show for you. Looking forward to talking to you. Couple of lines already taken, couple of lines available. Feel free to grab them. Pick up where we left off last night. We left a bunch of people hanging last night. I hate leaving you hanging, but on Sports Talk, as we've said over the years, getting on the air on Sports Talk, it is not a birthright. It is a privilege that we grant a select few on a nightly basis. So if you were one of the fortunate last night, congratulations. If you weren't, well, tough luck. But you can call back tonight, 888-898-2525. 888-8, I know some of you are a little bit slow on the uptake. 888-898-2525 is our phone number to reach us, and we'll take some calls here right off the bat in just a little bit after we have our say. Phil Kornblut, Josh Cohen here in Columbia, and we're joined by Chris Bergen at the Bergie Palace over in Sardis. So I guess, of course, we've had NFL games on Christmas. We had them this year, did we not? And now, of course, they're making a big deal of it because Netflix is going to televise an NFL doubleheader on Christmas this year. That's their new streaming deal with Netflix, where the NFL is going to make up team, $1 billion, whatever it is. And, of course, they've got a deal with Amazon, and they'll probably have it with whatever else is out there you can stream on. Name your streamer. What's your favorite streamer? You got a favorite streamer?
ESPN Plus.
Peacock.
I mean, seriously. Yeah, that's probably the one I watch the most, just because, especially baseball season and basketball season, it worked out pretty well. But, yeah, I'm not a big streaming guy. Heck, a couple of years ago, before I started working with you guys, I didn't even have internet in the house. So I'm late to the party.
I didn't realize you were so far behind the rest of us, I amaze myself that I'm able to stream. I'm able to, do it on the smart TV or take it off the phone. How, I make that work sometimes. It amazes me. But the NFL, being the giant that it is gobbling up all this money through these streamers as cord cutting continues. So, I mean, are we going to eventually see the end of cable distribution and everything's going to be through streaming? I mean, what's going to happen to the cable distributors when it comes to all this?
They're going to have to cut their rates considerably, I would think, to make it viable and then figure out a way to get programming. I mean, that's going to be the biggest problem. If you have the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball and college football and all of them starting to move over to streaming platforms, sooner or later you're going to run out of programming. And I think that's going to be the bigger issue, regardless of the cost. I mean, there are going to be people that will pay whatever Amazon asks them to be able to watch the NFL. And I don't know why we should be surprised. The NFL has attacked every aspect of sports around the country. Why not go after the NBA's biggest day, too? Let's slot in 2 games on Christmas Day and see if we can pull away from the NBA fans.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They just gobble. There's no end in sight because, look, the commissioner makes $35 million a year, and he's making these owners, these rich owners, richer and richer by the year. So, and I think the gambling has a lot to do with it, of course, in my opinion. I think the gambling drives a whole bunch of this stuff right now, and that is pushing up the television views, and television can charge more for commercials, or the streamers can charge more, however that will work. Everybody's making money hand over fist. Of course, the players are making a huge chunk of money. Maybe they feel like they should be making more. But eventually, somebody's got to pay for it. And who is that that's paying for it?
Us.
Yeah. You and me and the rest of us going to pay that. Now, I am a Netflix subscriber. Do you subscribe to Netflix?
I do not.
Yeah, see, I'm not paying a dime more. I don't believe they'll charge any more because this is just a one-day to my knowledge, one-day doubleheader Netflix with the NFL. I mean, it's not like they're having, like Amazon Prime has a side package for the NFL that you purchase, I guess. Or maybe you get it with your Amazon Prime subscription. As a matter of fact, I think you might get it with your Amazon Prime subscription. But it's a way to drive you to buy the subscription. That's the whole idea behind this thing. With all these streamers, the whole idea is to draw people to subscribe. So anyway, the NFL making news all day because the schedules for all the teams for this coming season will be announced tonight, though the schedules have been leaking out all day through their various reporters. They've got the international schedule out of 5 games, including the Packers and the Eagles playing in Brazil on a Friday. Don't like that whatsoever. But anyway.
Panthers are in Germany against, I believe, the Giants.
Yep.
They're playing Munich. Over in Germany.
Yeah. We'll go over that in just a little bit. Phone number,
and see here, Phil,
898-2525. Yeah.
Here's another opportunity for our business, the one bastion of old school, free sports programming on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an opportunity for us as an industry to try and reclaim some fans who are just tired of having to pay, through the nose to be able to watch games. Hey, you get better coverage on the radio. I know you don't believe this. You got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen, you can get better coverage on the radio. And here's an opportunity in our business to actually grow our business again.
Yeah. Unless, of course, you subscribe to Sirius XM, which is going to cost you $50-something a month, but that's okay. But, yeah, like here on Sports Talk or our website, sportstalksc.com, it's all free. Mm-hmm. We don't charge anything. We kind of go about this I don't want to call it the old-fashioned way. I like to call it the right way. I mean, we sell advertising for our radio show and for our website, and that fuels us, and it gives us the opportunity to provide what we do for free to our listeners. You don't have to check your credit card every month for $10 a month. I'm not saying that's anything wrong with that. Believe me, there are people making millions of dollars with that business plan and doing quite well, and people are willing to pay it to get the information that's provided through those services. That's all well and good. Not the direction that we chose to go in, and we're very pleased with what we're doing. And we encourage people to listen to our advertisers, support our advertisers.
Indeed.
And if you're interested in advertising on Sports Talk, well, just shoot us an email at sportstalkradionetwork@gmail.com, and the one and only Matt Smith, our VP of Marketing, will get with you and get you exactly what you need to reach the people of South Carolina from a sports standpoint. All right, a couple of other things off the top of the show, then we'll move forward. Clemson won their golf regional in Chapel Hill. Clemson wins in Chapel Hill once again. The basketball team and now the golf team. Not sure if this is the first time the golf team has won in Chapel Hill. Probably not. But they finish at 25 under par to win the regional by a stroke over East Tennessee State. And they finish at 6 under par today for the Tigers. And the best round of the day for Clemson was a 66 turned in by Jonathan Nielsen. That's 4 under par. So he was very, very good, and he finished 7th overall at 9 under par. So an excellent tournament for him. Clemson, East Tennessee State, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, and Baylor advanced from that regional. From the Baton Rouge regional, where South Carolina played, the Gamecocks did not make it. They finished 8th at 11 over par, 7 shots back of the cut line. They did shoot a 4 under par score today, and I tell you who gave it a courageous effort was Nathan Franks. He made the turn at 6 under. He shot 30 on the opening 9.
Wow.
He cooled off on the backside. He did finish at even on the back 9, so a 66 for him, 6 under par for the round. He finishes in a tie for 12th individually, but the Gamecocks will not advance. Advancing are Auburn, Virginia, Texas Tech, Ohio State, and LSU. As for the other regionals, the teams advancing will be from the West Lafayette Regional, Vanderbilt, Purdue, Florida, Arizona, New Mexico. College of Charleston finished 12th at plus 22. They were 24 shots from the cut. From the Austin Regional, Texas, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Utah, and Wake Forest will be the schools advancing. Wake Forest won a tiebreaker to take the 5th spot. From the Rancho Santa Fe Regional, Oklahoma, California, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and North Florida advanced to the championship in Carlsbad, California. And the Stanford Regional, it's Illinois, who fired a 36 under par total score.
Good grief.
Yeah. Then Florida State, then Texas A&M, SMU, and Stanford. Those are the ones advancing from there. So that's your field for the championship, the men's championship in a couple of weeks. Women's championship will begin later this week, the end of this week in Carlsbad, California. Then the men will be next week. South Carolina today. Mark Kingston revealed, one bit of his pitching plans for the Tennessee series. It'll be Ty Good starting for the Gamecocks. Right-hander who's 5-1, 3.21 ERA. He'll be opposed by Chris Stamos, left-hander who's 3-0 with a 3.33 ERA. Gamecocks did not reveal their Friday and Saturday starters. Tennessee will start a right-hander on Friday, Drew Beam, 7-2, 3.75. Saturday they will go with Xander Sechrist, senior left-hander, 1-1, 4.57. So there you go. You've been saying it for weeks. Ty Good, Ty Good, Ty Good.
At least give him a chance. Now, he may not be any better than what we've seen out of Roman Kimball on Friday nights, but you've got to hope if you're Mark Kingston, maybe Ty Good comes out and gives you at least 5 or 6 solid innings, and then you can turn it over to your bullpen. I can't imagine they expect him to go much more than that. You'd love it because the Gamecock bullpen has been shaky here of late. But, yeah, I don't see why you won't give him an opportunity the way he has pitched and give him, as one of our callers pointed out earlier in the week, put him in the game when it starts so he comes in with a clean sheet. And he's not coming in to try and clean up some mess that was left out there beforehand. So we'll see. He's going to face, as all 3 pitchers will throughout the weekend, he's going to face an awfully good offense, much maybe not quite the offense they saw this week, but it's not far off.
Yeah, but he's been really good. 63 strikeouts to 21 walks, and he can give you some length. He can give you 6 or 7 innings if he's on his game. So maybe this will be a smart move by the Gamecocks. The Braves announced today that Ronald Acuna will not be in the lineup tonight with the Cubs, the finale with the Cubs. It'll be Duvall in right and Harris leading off. Nothing more about why he is out. And Darlington, not going to be in the playoffs this year, Southern 500, but according to Jordan Bianchi, who is, I believe he's with the New York Times, The Athletic, motorsports reporter for The Athletic. He reported that in 2025, the Southern 500 will be the first race again in the playoffs. He also reported that Atlanta's second race will shift from the playoffs to June 28th. That'll be the first race as part of TNT's NASCAR coverage and the first round of the nearly created tournament. Maybe he meant to say newly created, but he wrote nearly. And then he said the Southern 500 is expected to be slotted as the playoff opener in 2025. Daytona shifting back to hosting the regular season finale. So there you go.
I like
what do you think about
change.
that?
I love that change because I think Daytona presents so many wild card opportunities because it's a super speedway. It's the perfect cutoff race. And I think Darlington, because of the difficulty, is the perfect start to the playoffs. I don't know why they decided to move Darlington to the last race of the regular season this year and then flop them back. Just leave them alone. Leave the Southern 500 on Labor Day weekend and make it the first round of the playoffs. Now, I'm sure some of it has to do with the dates and all that kind of stuff, but nonetheless, Darlington should be the first round of playoffs. And to me, I think Daytona is a perfect cutoff race, too.
Yeah.
Because everybody would have a chance to get into the playoffs with a win at Daytona. You put Darlington in there, and let's face it, Phil, they're only going to be about 10 guys, if they have not already qualified for the playoffs coming here in September, that will have a legitimate chance to get in because it's just too hard a racetrack. And you don't get many wild card wins over there.
No. And again, we must learn our lesson, whether it's Kerry Tharp or Josh Harris. We got to remember to ask at the end of our Tuesday night interviews, Josh, anything going to come out in the news tomorrow that you want to tell us tonight? We always forget about
he
that.
He hasn't learned. Kerry was disappointing because he knew better. Josh, I'm not sure has realized you can leak some stuff out here on Sports Talk. We're all friends and family here.
Absolutely. All right, D1 latest baseball tournament projections.
How about this?
Well, let me
This
go.
is fun.
I'm going to go from top to bottom. I'm going to go through the seeding here. They got Kentucky, number 1 seed, Oklahoma State, the number 16 seed, Tennessee, number 2, Virginia, number 15. I'm doing it this way because this is how the super regionals will match up.
Mm-hmm.
Then the number 3 seed is Arkansas with Mississippi State, number 14. Texas A&M, the 4 seed, with Oregon State, number 13. North Carolina, the 5 seed, with East Carolina, the 12. Clemson now the 6 seed, and in this regional, according to D1, they're projecting Clemson as the number 1 seed in that regional, South Carolina the 2, College of Charleston the 3, and Wright State the 4. And they'll be paired with Indiana State, the 11 seed. Georgia is the 7 seed, Oklahoma is the 10, Wake Forest is the 8, and Florida State is the 9. Would they do that? Would they put the 3 state schools all in the same region?
It's happened before. They've actually got Coastal going to Virginia as a 3 seed up there. But, I mean, that would be Clemson's worst nightmare, right? I mean, as good a season as they have had, considering that they've got to get out of a regional before their fans just totally implode on that baseball program, and have South Carolina in there, and the Gamecocks could come in there and upset Clemson and win that regional. I mean, that would be the worst. It has to be the worst nightmare for the Tigers. They've already had to deal with this before at the College World Series, having been sent home by the Gamecocks. I can't imagine they want to see the Gamecocks in their regional.
Yeah. I'd love it. Boy, that sure would make it simple for us. I would certainly vote for that today if that were to. And you know what? Why not take Coastal, make them the 4 seed, and put them in there instead of Wright State, or make them the 3 seed?
I'll tell you one team that doesn't
4.
want. Yeah, Clemson doesn't want to see Coastal as a 4.
Right, exactly. Okay, there you go. Let's hit the phones, 888-898-2525, as promised here on Sports Talk. And we go to Gamecock Larry. Batting leadoff, surprisingly, tonight. Gamecock Larry, welcome in. How are you, sir? Hello, Gamecock Larry.
You asleep over there?
Oh. All right, let's put him back on hold.
No, he didn't fall asleep on us again.
He might have. Let's go to Wes in Florence. Next call here on Sports Talk. Wes, welcome in. How are you?
Pretty wet. I know Bergen's house is probably getting soaked now. I was out covering the West-South softball game that got delayed for the second night in a row.
Not a drop of rain here.
All of Bergen, I'm sure you want all your potatoes in the backyard to get some nice water on when you grow. So, I mean,
and my tomatoes.
Bergen potatoes are delicious, and tomatoes. Two things. One, I never thought I'd see the day where NASCAR fans would be the second worst complainers than the football fans because of all the streaming that's going on. I mean, not all of us have Reggie Anderson money. We can't get all of the streaming.
Yeah.
But my wife makes more than me, so she's got them all there. I'm good to go. But what I normally do is watch the NFL Red Zone anyway, because fantasy football has kind of destroyed my fandom. Because I'll pull for the Cowboys, I'll pull for the Jags. You know, my wife pulls for the Packers. So
I knew your wife had some class to her, but you being the exception.
Right. I'm married way up. You can ask Bergen about that. But do you think? And I think Netflix has actually increased their rate earlier this year, Phil. So I think you already paid an increase. But do you think they'll come up with a way to appease the NASCAR fans with this in playoff season thing, and also the NFL fans with all the streaming? Do you think everything will stay the same, or do you think they'll increase prices for both of those?
That's a good question. Now, with the NASCAR, this in-season bracket thing, that's not entirely on streaming services, right? Isn't TNT handling some of those races? Am I correct about that, Chris?
Yes, that is correct.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. So,
but some of it is on streaming.
Right. I get who's at Amazon Prime getting some of that. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, look, if Amazon Prime didn't raise the membership fee and they have the NFL package, then I doubt they will do it for this. They just want you to subscribe as a member and start using their service. Right. I think that's the whole idea, is to lure you in. If you want to watch NFL football on Christmas Day, if you want to watch it, and the games are going to be at 1:30 and 8 o'clock, I believe, are kickoff times. So, I mean, work that out around your schedule on Christmas Day. I know there'll be a lot of well, of course, you know what? We've had, like I said, we've had football on Christmas Day. We've had the NBA on Christmas Day. It's not like there aren't sports on television for people to watch on Christmas Day. But if you want to watch it, you're going to have to subscribe to Netflix.
Right. Well, on a Wednesday day, I mean, does the team get both Sundays off that go around that Wednesday?
Is Christmas on a Wednesday this year? I mean,
I'd have to check the calendar. I'm not positive, but if that's the case, yes.
They would
There's
have
no
to.
way you could ask them to play on a Sunday and then turn around 3 days later and play again.
Yeah, what day is Christmas this year?
Wednesday.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. They'd have to have both
saying,
weekends off here. Yeah.
That's true, too. Well, now, back in the day, Phil, when you played over in Latta, you play football 4 times a week. So I know that we don't do stuff like that anymore. But I just find it interesting that the way things are going. But anyway, I hadn't called in a while. I'm glad I'm one of the privileged to call in.
Yes, sir.
I normally bug Bergen at least twice a week. I hadn't called him this week, so this is my one call to you, Phil. I mean, to you, Chris.
I appreciate that.
Those potatoes grown really, really good. Save me a bundle. My wife will love the cook.
You got it.
I'll catch you later, man.
You grow potatoes in your backyard?
I do not,
Oh.
but I can try. No. I'm not a gardener nor a farmer. So I leave that to the pros.
But you are a mower. You do go out and mow.
I do mow my yard. There's no doubt, and try and keep mushrooms from growing in the yard.
Yeah.
That's about it.
After all this rain, I have a bunch of mushrooms in my backyard right now. Got a bunch of shrooms back there.
Don't eat them.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Don't eat them. Pitching rotation for Clemson and Boston College. Clemson's got Ethan Darden on Thursday, Tristan Smith on Friday, and Aiden Canuck on Saturday. So there you go. They're going to go with their regular rotation against Boston College. They should sweep this series at home and kind of steady the ship after what happened last weekend. We go back to the phone calls here on Sports Talk. 888-898-2525. Keith in Camden. Remember, Keith was hanging a long time last night. Got you now, my friend. Welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing great, Phil. Chris, yes, sir, I did. I stayed on there a while, but
yeah, appreciate it. We got a little backed up last night.
That's okay. I had forgot what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Last night, let's go back to Mark Kingston, and I'm not going. I'm respectful of Andy. I understand his frustration. If you look at the last few years, it's hard to complain, but when you look at 2009, 10, and 11, it's a night and day difference. I mean, this baseball team, with all due respect, and Chris, you made a comment about it's talented, but it doesn't even come close to 2011, even prior to winning the national championship in 2009. Those baseball teams were loaded with talent. And no disrespect to the young men out there, but the talent just is not what it was then. And, I don't know if that's Kingston's fault. I'll tell you what I'd like to think. Being a great baseball coach doesn't make you an AD, so maybe maybe we need to be talking about who's making the hires. Maybe that's the solution, but I just thought I'd throw that curveball out there.
That wasn't a curveball. That was more of a knuckleball. That thing's kind of dancing.
I know y'all love that.
Kind of dancing all over the place.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, I hate to tell you this, okay?
Oh, lay it on me.
I'm going to tell you this. Whit Merrifield is not walking through that door.
No, sir.
And pick anybody else you want to off of those teams. They're not coming back. That was a nice golden era of Gamecock baseball. You can't keep living in the past, and you can't compare now to then. I mean, so many things have changed. The game itself in college baseball has changed. The amount of money going into college baseball by programs has changed to make it more competitive top to bottom.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
And the battle for the players has changed. Trying to get the best talent is more difficult. Be right back. All right, we're back on Sports Talk, Sports Talk Media Network, Wednesday night edition. Coming up, we're going to be joined by Jeff May from the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame. Their annual induction ceremonies take place Monday night in Columbia, the Convention Center. It's one of the big nights of the year in sports in South Carolina. Of course, Sports Talk will be there, and what a class they've got going in. And so we'll talk with Jeff about all that. 7:30 tonight, hear from the Major Billy Downer, another exciting edition of SC Wild. Here on Sports Talk from DNR, beautiful day today. Got some rain coming in. A lot of things happening outside. And the Major will take your phone calls, answer your questions, and have some observations of his own. SEC spring meetings wrapped up at Amelia Island today, and the Commissioner, Jim Phillips, talked to the media. Of course, he was peppered with questions about the lawsuits with Clemson and Florida State and the saber rattling going on at North Carolina and the ESPN contract and all of that. Of course, he didn't give any hard answers to any of that. Just wait and see, wait and see. ESPN is our partner, and that's not going to change. And so he didn't shed any light on anything, Chris, as far as any resolution to any of these issues that's dogging his conference right now.
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask the questions from our perspective to him, but I can understand there are certain things he just obviously cannot say, and he's certainly not going to try and upset the apple cart with ESPN when he's got a couple of his own conference members who are suing to get out because they believe the ESPN contract is not worth the value that they're bringing to the league. So I get all of that. And I think he was also asked about Florida State not getting into the postseason. So, I mean, he's having to juggle a lot of things with regards to the Seminoles in particular.
Yeah. Well, again, those lawsuits are going to be the make or break of this league. I mean, look, if they were to lose Florida State, Clemson, and then maybe North Carolina follows, of course, he says the ACC is not going anywhere. That's why they're bringing in 3 other schools to offset those losses. Of course, Stanford and Cal and SMU, not exactly going to ring the bell for fans in the Atlantic Coast area. I still think it is. I still think it's just not a fit. Mm-mm. It's just not a fit. I mean, it's less of a fit. I don't even consider Texas and Oklahoma a fit in the SEC, or for that matter, Texas A&M. I mean, I know over time we've gotten used to Texas A&M and even Missouri. That's kind of
stretching a good example too. Yeah.
That's kind of stretching it, but at least we've become acclimated. I don't know that you'll ever get used to having Cal and Stanford in the ACC.
No, I won't. As a longtime fan of the ACC and heck, watching the SEC, I mean, it was weird when Arkansas and South Carolina came into the league.
Sure.
1,000 years ago.
But at least South Carolina is in the Southeast.
In the Southeast, yeah, exactly. I mean, geographically, they made perfect sense. Arkansas didn't make a whole lot of sense at the time, and now you've just grown accustomed to those teams in the current makeup of the SEC, and I guess Texas and Oklahoma won't upset that apple cart all that much because they seem to fit what the league already has. But, yeah, Stanford and Cal in particular, SMU, at least Texas somewhat. It's not Atlantic Coast, but, I mean, Southern Cal and UCLA going to the Big Ten, that makes very little sense as well.
No. I'll be glad. I don't know how many more years it will take. We're going to get to the point where it's just one for the big schools who are going to be paying the players and doing all that stuff, the newfangled stuff we're getting into now. We're going to have one super league. We're going to have one super league, and then maybe they'll divide it up by, you can call them regions, you can call them conferences, you can call them leagues, call them whatever you want to call them, and then they'll make a little bit more geographic sense. Because you can make them make geographic sense. You can have a true ACC, a true SEC. You go back and have a league on the West Coast, a Pac something. But they're all playing under the umbrella of this super college league, this super college professional league. I have no doubt that's what we're going to get to. It's just going to take a little bit more time to get there because everything takes time in the world of college sports. They just don't get, for some reason, they can't see the forest for the trees. They can't get to the ultimate end without going through all these little transitions. You have to. You knew we were going to get to an expanded playoff when they first started the playoff. You knew they weren't going to stop at 2, and then you knew they weren't going to stop at 4. Okay, and then now they're gone to 12, but they're not going to stop at 12. So why don't you just go ahead and get to the 24? or the 36, or let everybody in the playoff. Whatever you want to do that you're going to ultimately get to. But they never get there in college sports in a hurry.
Well, it's a fascinating point because had they gone initially and said we're going to do a college before any of that started, when we still had the BCS, if the NCAA and the college football powers that be would have come out and said, look, as soon as the BCS contract is over, we are going to a 16-team college football playoff. Everybody would have been thrilled, and you would not have had to go through these progressions and probably wouldn't have to grow past 16.
Good
but
point.
Now you're right. I think we'll get to 24. Heck, may get to 32, and at some point in time, because we always expand everything past where it's necessary, probably get to 30-plus teams, and at some point in time, we may just everybody's in, and you start the playoffs in September.
Yeah.
Just work your way through.
Crazy. All right, let's go back to the phones. 888-898-2525. We'll try it again. Let me speak a little louder. Maybe this will wake him up. Gamecock Larry.
I was like,
No, you were sleeping. You were sleeping.
No, I was laying just pushing, and next thing I knew, I was in dreamland.
That's what I'm telling you.
We swept Tennessee. Boy, I was happy. Boy, I tell you what, I don't know. I don't know. I was asleep. I fell asleep.
I know.
But well, old man got a toucher in his hand. But let me tell you something. I heard Coach Tanner on another station. Coach Tanner, please, don't let this, I don't know how to put it. Don't let this, what is it? Don't let it fool you. Don't let it fool you. Get your checkbook ready, buy him out, and send him on his way. Boy, I'll tell you what, yes, sir, we're going to sweep Tennessee. We're not going to San Bernardino, California. We're going to sweep Tennessee. We're going to win the SEC. We're going to host the regional. That's the old Gamecock Larry's dream. I was really dreaming good. And then Mr. Field woke me up. But I'll tell you what, please.
I mean, Gamecock Larry, at the age of 90, I would hope that your dreams would consist of something more than Gamecock baseball.
Well, sir, I tell you what, I do. I mean, I've had a good life. I've had some good times, bad times, and I can tell you about sometimes. But I don't want to tell you. That's for another day. That's when I can sit down across the table with you and talk old time.
There you go.
But I tell you what, I enjoy it. I love 100.7. I appreciate you letting the old man come in and talk a little bit. I feel it makes me feel, oh, yeah, I got a good report today. Everything in my legs and my feet, a good report. There's a few blockages, but that comes with old age. Now they want to check my neck. Got to go back Friday and check my neck. When they check my neck and get a report, if you get the same kind of report, that means I'll be ready to go.
Well, that is the best news of the day. That is better than the Gamecock sweep there, Gamecock Larry.
Well, yeah, we might go to Clemson, so they say. Did you hear about that?
Heard about it.
Oh, Holbrook going up there and playing his own teammate at North Carolina. That's okay. I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate you. I love you. Have a good day. And I don't know what to say. I can't say. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Go Gamecocks. Love y'all.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Glad we could wake you up. Glad we could help you sleep. Hate to say that sometimes, Chris, this sports talk can be a Can be
It's
medicinal.
soothing.
It can be medicinal. Have a medicinal
It's
use.
just soothing. It's soothing. It's like comfort TV.
I
We
think
are
it's your
comfort radio.
voice. I think it's your voice is sort of, you're sort of mellow, and I think your voice might put, Gamecock Larry a little bit into the
Entirely possible.
into the dreamland area. I'm glad he's dreaming good, positive things. Let's go to the phones again. 888-898-2525, and it is it's Andy in Columbia. Andy, welcome in. How are you?
I need to be on whatever's in Larry's IV. I'll tell you that right now. If he dreamed of a Carolina sweep at Tennessee, the man he must be getting those mushrooms that are in Josh's backyard.
Well, I tell you what, for his sake, I'm sorry we woke him up because he obviously was having a good dream, and we had to interrupt it because, he was snoring when we went to him the first time. So
well, the worst thing is, Phil, is when one of your co-hosts fall asleep on you. That's when you know you really have
No doubt.
it wouldn't be the co-host, it'd be me. I'm the one that's about to drop off.
Okay. You cut me off last night before I had one question I want to ask you. And
We didn't cut you off. We just sort of ran out of time.
I know. Just be quiet and let me get my thing out.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, with this new thing with Asia Wilson and her signature series coming out with Nike, and us seeing Dawn Staley wearing a Nike type of thing at the CLA this past weekend, do you think that maybe praying to the Lord that we can get rid of Under Armour and possibly become a Nike school? Hello?
Well, first of all, they've got a long-term contract that they not too recently renewed, I think, with Under Armour, if I'm not mistaken. I just think that they did that not too long ago. I mean, the people in charge at South Carolina don't seem to be having an issue with Under Armour. It's, some of the fans out there, like yourself, who seem to have a problem with Under Armour.
Terrible. The shoe quality is terrible. That's my problem.
I don't know. I'm wearing. I wear. This is not a personal endorsement, but last time I bought
you're not
sneakers.
An athlete, okay?
Excuse you. Excuse you.
For a sleeping old man.
Excuse you.
They might work, but let's go back.
Last sneakers I bought, and I'm still wearing them. In fact, I cut the grass in one of them today because I've only got one working leg right now. It's an Under Armour, and it's done quite well.
Yeah, it's a $71.5 million deal, 10 years, so it'll be up.
When was it signed?
2016. That's the most recent one I can find.
2016.
And if I'm not mistaken,
I thought they renewed something more recently than that, but I could be wrong. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm looking at the same stuff Josh has, and I think Josh is right. I haven't seen a renewal. And if I'm not mistaken, Auburn, which is another of their big powerhouse programs, they are about to switch out of Under Armour. So maybe a situation where Under Armour is starting to lose schools across the board, and it may be as much Under Armour's decision as it is the universities.
And Asia Wilson's signature stuff is coming out next year in 2025, which would be a pretty perfect timing.
Are you gonna buy a pair of Asia Wilson shoes, pink?
Oh, of course. I'll get 4 pairs so I can have a pair and my dog can wear 2 pairs.
Now, to Andy's point, though, do you go, if you're the Gamecocks, do you look at something like what North Carolina has done with the Michael Jordan brand and go the Wilson brand, and it just so happens it might be Nike, and do you promote one of your greatest players?
Wait a minute, Chris. Wait a minute. Time out.
He's got a statue in front of
Wait a
CLA.
minute. You're gonna say South Carolina do with Asia Wilson with what North Carolina, Michael Jordan, Nike did with that iconic brand and label and symbol and all that kind of stuff. Are you saying South Carolina their athletic program should hitch their wagon to women's basketball that much to where it is the face, focus, and symbol of the athletic program? Is that what you're suggesting?
Isn't it now?
Well,
I mean, isn't
I
that the
don't
truth?
know.
Now,
Is it?
Exactly,
Is it?
Chris.
Is it?
I believe it is.
Well, I'd say that's
definitely not our baseball program.
That's.
I'll tell you that. But let me ask you another question.
I don't know.
I run out of time, please.
You got 30 seconds.
Phil. Any word on the kid from Oak Hill that's visiting today? Because I know coach said the something that he said make up his mind quickly if
Shoot
he
the
likes
dog.
the school and commit. She's barking because she's happy she's getting a double pair of Asia shoes.
Nothing yet. Let's let the guy have his visit, and then we got to run. Thank you.
Thank you, fellas.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Let's let him have his visit first, and then we'll find out more.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you cannot be serious. You cannot be serious.
Why not? I mean, let's face it. When Jordan was at North Carolina, he was not the Michael Jordan that we all know. I mean, he was a really good player, but he wasn't the elite, unbelievable athlete that he turned into when he joined the Bulls.
He was only an All-American like how many times? I mean, he was Michael Jordan pretty darn good.
Twice.
Be back in a moment. We're going to hear from Mark Kingston.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, it's hunting season in South Carolina this fall, and folks need to be prepared from a legal standpoint.
That's right, Phil. Everyone always needs to buy their hunting license or fishing license. Everyone always worries about losing their license. Well, now that's not a problem anymore because you can keep your license on your phone. That's right. Go Outdoors SC. It's an app. Look for it on your Apple or Android devices. You can buy your license. You can renew your boat registration, and it's all right there on your phone. Remember, Go Outdoors SC in your app store. Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wild from the Department of Natural Resources on the SportsTalk Media Network.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
George Bryant here for Tsunami Bar Sports, and some say the fun is in the winning. I say the fun is in the training. And Tsunami Robbie, what do you say?
George, we all know you get more done when you're having fun. This technology is different, it's engaging, but it's also a lot of fun to use.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any Tsunami Bar order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today.
All right, South Carolina baseball at Tennessee. Did not get to this last night. Let's get to it now. USC coach Mark Kingston met with the media, talking about the state of his team and getting ready for the 3-game set in Knoxville beginning tomorrow night. You've already heard us say that he's going to start Ty Good, so ignore the question and answer about the pitching plans when you hear it here in just a moment. But the rest of it is pretty timely. Here is Mark Kingston.
Hard to believe it's the last weekend of conference play already. This season really has flown by. So getting ready to head on the road to number one team in the country, so very excited about that opportunity. And then after that, the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. So as Bill Belichick would say, right now we're on to Tennessee, and that's our focus.
You have a weekend rotation for this series yet?
Not ready to announce it yet.
Hey, Mark, do you feel like there's a sense of urgency, after this past weekend to, get, back on track as quickly as possible? And then, that's also including the fact that, you guys maybe need, another win or two to, leave no doubt about your regional hopes of whether it's hosting or wherever you guys go?
Sense of urgency is something that's always in an SEC baseball program. I wouldn't say there's ever not a sense of urgency, and that starts on day one of the fall. There's always a sense of urgency. If you have to ramp that up because you had a tough weekend, then something's wrong. We always have a sense of urgency, and the guys know that every day is to be taken advantage of, and so that never changes.
Speaking of, obviously, the regionality, you obviously with the guys, you tell them one game at a time, you keep them focused, but have y'all had any conversations as a staff about what you're kind of thinking you want to get out of this weekend to try and put yourself in a good position?
You can't look too far ahead because it does you no good. You just have to try to win the next game. And if you win the next game, then you try to win the game after that. Belaboring RPIs and all that stuff, it does nothing to help you win the games. And so at the end of the season, they look at your RPI, they look at your record, they look at your strength of schedule, and they decide who did enough to get in the NCAA tournament. So all we can do is control what we can control, and that's to try to win baseball games, and everything else is a byproduct of that.
The pitching staff this past weekend had a rough weekend top to bottom. How do you approach as a coach handling their emotions, and how do you go about handling a staff when you're just trying to find the right guy? Do you go back to what you feel like your best guys are, or do you try to blow things up and find something different?
Yeah, I think number one is they've got to know we have their back, because I think that's really important, because confidence is such a big part of success. And so they need to know we have their back. Even if we change their role, it doesn't mean we don't believe in you. It just means that we think this might be a better role for the team and for you right now. And so I think that's the number one thing, is just to continue to let them know we think we can win with you. We know we can win with you. We're going to make some adjustments potentially, but when you get the ball, go out there and be the best you can be. Obviously, we struggled a lot on the mound this weekend. I think Georgia had a lot to do with that. It's an incredible offense that they put together, but it was one weekend, and you just have to move on.
You won't know until you get out there on Thursday, but these last couple days at least, have you liked the response from your guys after that series, or what's kind of the mood been like here the last 48 or so hours?
Guys are fine. Look, it's a long season. The SEC, I've said it a million times, if you're looking to go undefeated, don't play in the SEC. If you're looking to have glossy records, this is probably not the league for you. This is a league about being really good, surviving it, and then getting to the postseason. Most of the time for most of the teams. Obviously, some teams go on a magical run and they get to the point where they have everything in place to dominate our league. It doesn't happen very often. But for the most part, our league is about surviving it, staying as even keel as you can through the 30-game marathon that our league is, and then get to the postseason and get hot. That's how Mississippi State did it and won a national championship. That's how Ole Miss did it and won a national championship. That's what our league is.
It's been a few days since Eli's start on Friday. Two-part question. One, when you go back and watch the tape, what did you kind of see that was standing out from a control standpoint or anything like that? And then two, with this week, what do you try to work on to get him back to that point of where you want him to be?
Yeah, his control and his movement haven't been what they were when he's at his best. And I know Matt thinks he found something with him that they've been able to work on. I was just watching him throw a bullpen just a few minutes ago, and we're hopeful that the adjustment that they're making will pay dividends and get him back to where he was when he was a Friday night starter. Because at the end of the day, I believe deep in my heart, if we can get a lot of these guys to just play close to their full capacity, then we can and will beat anybody in the country. But we have to get them there. We need Eli to be the Friday night type starter. We need all these guys to hit the way they're capable. We need our pitchers to be at the top of their game. If we do that, that's how you get hot when it really matters.
All right, there you go. Some comments from Mark Kingston, Chris, and it's going to go with Ty Good tomorrow night. And really, they're just sort of they're kind of going on a wing and a prayer here, I guess, when it comes to pitching, hoping that they're going to put the right guy in at the right spot, and he's going to be hot and help them pick up a couple of huge wins, if not more.
I understand maybe trying to be a little coy with Tennessee, but they're smart enough to realize they're going to see Garrett Gainey either Friday or Saturday. So why not go ahead and announce he's in the rotation? I mean, we all know he's going to pitch at some point in time, right? I mean, he's going to start either that Friday game or the Saturday game. I'm wondering if that's based off if they need him to – well, either way, you want to win that game on Friday night to have a chance either to take the series at that point in time or stay in an opportunity to win the series on Saturday. So I don't get being that coy with Garrett Gainey, because after his performance against Georgia, we all know he's going to be in the rotation this weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Tennessee does too.
They might be waiting to see how things go on Thursday night to decide who starts on Friday. If they happen to win Thursday, then you might put Gainey in there on Friday in hopes of winning the series.
Sure.
Now, that's not to say you don't put Jones in there in hopes of winning the series as well, but he hasn't been going so well of late. Now, he did say yesterday that he went on the mound this week with Matt Williams, and they discovered something that wasn't right, and they made an adjustment that they feel like maybe is going to make a difference for him. So we'll see what that was and how that affects his pitching. But now you're right. Gainey's going to start one of the three. We just don't know which one. All right, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network across the state of South Carolina. And got a bunch of folks waiting to join us. Try and take a few more calls here in a moment. We got recruiting coming your way. SC Wild at the bottom of the hour. Want to mention as well this note from the College of Charleston, and that is that the Cougars have hired former USC point guard Trey Campbell as an assistant coach. He also was at Georgetown. He's going to be the director of player personnel and also serve as an assistant coach. And he comes to Charleston after being an assistant coach at IMG Academy. So there you go, Trey Campbell coming back to the state to work at the college.
Don't think Chris Mack looked at that opportunity, too, with his connections at IMG and thought, boy, that might be a nice guy to bring in as our director of player personnel.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a smart move on Coach Mack's part for sure.
Jimmy Johnson's going to broadcast the Indy 500 and then fly to Charlotte and race in the Coca-Cola 600. Good luck with that. And the city of Jacksonville and the Jaguars today unveiled their Stadium of the Future proposal, $1.4 billion. The city will pay $775 and the Jags will pony up $625.
You know, I was just there last week. It was a pretty nice stadium.
Oh, that was for the Boys to Men concert?
Yeah, the Taylor Swift concert. Yeah. No.
Yeah, right.
No, but yeah, I was there, and it was a nice stadium.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're going to really they got it really
what's the breakdown
futuristic.
Again?
City $775, the Jags $625.
Now you know how guys like Shad Khan and David Tepper and all these guys are multi-millionaires. They don't spend their own money, folks.
This thing does.
They get you to pony up and spend your money.
The artist rendition really makes this thing look like a spaceship. It really looks like a spaceship that landed there in Jacksonville. So I still call it the Gator Bowl. They can do whatever they want to with it. To me, it's the Gator Bowl, the good old-fashioned Gator Bowl.
Well, I'm fascinated to see where they're going to put it because, as Josh will tell you, there's not a whole lot of room right there along the St. Johns River where the current setup is. Are they going to build elsewhere? Or are they going to implode and rebuild right around the same place?
Good question.
Like the Georgia Dome and the new place that Falcons have.
Yeah, there's a big amphitheater right next to the stadium, and there's not very many parking spots, right around the stadium. So,
and their baseball team plays down there too.
Right. Yep.
The Jumbo Shrimp.
The Jumbo Shrimp.
I'm not making that up.
No,
yes,
I get you.
The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp.
How about the new name of the Spartanburg minor league team?
The Burgers? The Spartan Burgers?
Yeah, the Hub City Spartan Burgers.
Fireflies are the Grits. Columbia Grits.
Okay. All right, Monday night, always a big night in South Carolina. Is sort of like the Met. What's that up in New York? The Met
Gala?
The Met Gala? Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
It's where all the athletes of the state dress up real pretty and come to Columbia, the convention center, and we enshrine another class of former great athletes from the state of South Carolina. We welcome in former Lander AD, the president of the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame, Jeff May, to Sports Talk to give us a little preview of what's coming up on Monday. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. I hope you are, and thank you for you and Sports Talk for your interest.
Oh, listen, absolutely. I know you're doing great because you just played golf today.
Yeah, I played 9 holes, went out and, beat it around a little bit.
Where'd you play?
At the Greenwood Country Club. It
nice.
was wet.
Yeah. That just made the green soft for you as you were dialing it in.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you got to be excited about Monday night. You guys have got a great class coming in, and tell us a little bit about your plans for Monday night and what folks can expect to see.
Well, certainly we're excited about the 62nd annual induction, and it's the largest class ever. We're going to enshrine 10, and then we have 4 special awards. So it's going to be a big night. We expect a large crowd. Last year we had some 900 people, and so we're excited to kick it off with a reception, President's reception on Sunday evening, and then Sunday night we'll have another reception at 5:30, and then the doors open and we get the program underway at 6:30.
I know it's a great night. I've been to like the last 35 or 40 of these things, and every one of them is great because every year that it's new people that you're honoring. And what's been the general feedback you've gotten from your class of inductees this time around about being excited to be going into the Hall of Fame?
Oh, they're very excited and humbled, and they're looking forward to receiving that jacket as they are inducted, and it's a great class. So we're thrilled that we have so many in South Carolina that over time there's so many good athletes, and we have as Andy Solomon, our executive director, he always refers to it as in the hopper, and we have some 200 that probably half of those are very deserving, and so that's why we expanded the class to 10 to try to catch up a little bit. So we're working on that, trying to make sure that we honor the people that are deserving.
Let me run through the names. You got Lucas Glover, you got Marcus Lattimore, you got Allison Feaster, you got Ivory Latta, you've got William Partlow, Jack Leggett, Anthony Johnson, Cliff Ray, Tyler Thigpen, and Ori Banks. That's a terrific class. When you guys, yeah. When you guys sit down, as an organization and try to make that decision on who gets in a particular year, man, how tough are those discussions to decide on how many and then fill in those blanks?
Well, it's difficult, but we said that we would work to get 10 enshrined this year, and but we have so many nominations, and then the screening committee, and then the full board votes on these folks, and so it is very difficult, and the elections are so close. But once someone does not get in on a particular year, they stay there at least for 5 years.
And can be revoted on?
Be revoted on the next year.
Yeah.
Right, correct.
How are you looking on having everybody there? What does it look like attendance-wise?
I think that Marcus Lattimore cannot be in attendance, so we'll do a video on him, and he'll be accepted with a video. And then Lucas Glover is up in the air. We're hoping he'll be there, but if not, then we will do the same with Lucas. All the others will be in attendance. That's
excellent. I hated that Marcus isn't going to be there, but rest of them, that's outstanding, and hopefully Lucas can be there as well.
Right.
Is he in the PGA this week? No, I don't think he's in the PGA. Is he in the PGA?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I know he had a good outing just over in Charlotte. Was it Charlotte he played well recently? So I know he's out there. Right. I know he's out there getting after it. How's it looking for tickets? Any tables still remaining? Any individual tickets? What do you want to tell people about getting those, if you have any, and coming on out and attending on Monday night?
Absolutely. We do have some tables still available, and we would encourage them to go to our website, South Carolina Athletics Hall of Fame.com, and they can get the information there. So we would encourage them. We don't have a whole lot of tables, but we do have some tables left, and we're excited about that. One of the other things that we're really excited is our Walk of Legends, and we have some 30-plus former inductees that will be there to be honored and recognized, and it's a great group of folks. I mean, from Danny Ford to Jeff Grants to Willie Jeffries, Sylvia Hatchell, Bobby Richardson, and just on and on. Just a great group of former honorees.
Yeah, that is a great part of the night. You've got the orchestra. You've got Coach Jeffries, I'm assuming, still in his role of making sure everybody stays on time.
Yeah, he'll be throwing the flag. He'll be throwing the flag again this year.
He's got the flag ready to go.
He's got that flag.
Yeah. great videos and great speeches. We encourage everybody, if you've never been, this would be a great time to go get those tickets or get those tables and attend on Monday night. Jeff, thank you so much. Great having you with us, and we'll see you Monday at press conference and then Monday night for the event.
Look forward to visiting with you, and again, thanks for all you do to help us.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it.
All right.
Good
Take
talking
care.
to you.
Bye.
All right, Jeff May. Sorry to hear Marcus Lattimore's not going to make it. That's kind of a
that's
bummer.
disappointing. That's disappointing. But I always enjoy these opportunities because we all know how good a football player Marcus Lattimore was, how good a football player Tyler Thigpen was. Excuse me. I want you to find out from the people there and maybe ask her if Allison Feaster is the smartest inductee ever in the history of the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame, being a Harvard grad with an economics degree.
Yeah, really.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your rec case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
Last throw, big guy.
Come on, baby. I need me a giant bear.
I got this. I'm the target. Ben, throw.
Oh, wow. Look who won a giant bear.
That's a grizzly.
Oh, Mama's baby bear.
When you join the South Carolina Education Lottery's Players Club, you get way more than you expect. More chances, more wins, and more surprises.
Yeah, he's had all his shots. Just don't look him in the eye.
Join the Players Club at seeducationlottery.com because more happens here.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wild from the Department of Natural Resources on the SportsTalk Media Network.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. Not a Founders member yet? Founders has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
All right, let's squeeze in a couple more phone calls, then recruiting before we get to SC Wild here on Sports Talk. Thanks to Jeff May for being with us tonight. Enjoyed having him with us. Let's go to Hank in Columbia next up. And welcome in, Hank. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Corn.
Good.
I hate to hurt your heart, though, Corn, about something that y'all were talking about earlier. But I don't know if you know about
hate away, Hank. Hate away.
About 4 years ago, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, the Jordan brand, they partnered with some schools that they didn't make the entire program. The Jordan brand, they just did the basketball team. So there's a couple of teams across the country where they just have just the basketball team, and then the rest of the school might be Adidas or whatever. And they actually reached out to South Carolina. They put out a thing about a couple of schools they were targeting that year. And one of the schools that they targeted was the South Carolina women's basketball program for Jordan. And I don't know, if Don just declined or with Coach Tanner declined or whatever because of our overall thing with Under Armour, but they reached out because of that. So that might be a little bit hurt to you that nationally, the one place where you will see our name come out of people's mouths on national shows and national TV shows and talk shows and podcasts is the women's basketball program. So you might want to hitch your wagon to it.
No, wait a minute now. You know what? I see plenty of Shane Beamer out there. He's on all the podcasts and he's on all the SEC shows.
I'm talking about national, Corn.
Well,
I was watching Good Morning.
What is not national? Everything is. People,
I was watching
everything
Good
is
Morning
national.
America.
Believe it or
they
not.
were talking about South Carolina women's basketball.
But that's because they won the championship. This
was just last week.
When the Gamecock football team wins the national championship, you'll hear them being talked about a lot as well.
Again, Corn. You might want to. You might want to. You might want to hit your way. You might want to get off of the team.
I didn't make a joke. Did I make a joke, Chris? Did I make a joke there? Was I straight faced when I said that? I was straight faced when I said that.
Your comment was serious. Now, whether the actual factual portion of it was serious. If the Gamecocks ever win a national championship, people would talk about them. Sure,
that's what I'm saying.
But they've got a better chance of winning 6 or 7 more women's titles.
Just saying, if you're the University of South Carolina, okay, I'm just going to be blunt. If you're the University of South Carolina in the Southeastern Conference, I'm sorry. Yes, you love having a great women's basketball program. It cannot be your identifying sport. Period.
Why? I don't get that.
Whatever you win in, Corn, whatever you win in is your identifying sport.
I mean, look around the league. Does anybody have a women's sport as their identifying sport? No.
Well, Tennessee did till they got beat. That crap beat out of them for years. Tennessee, it used to be what hung on.
Did they even?
It doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter that you don't like the sport, Corn. It has to be the one that wins.
I like women's basketball. Why you say I don't like women's basketball?
You don't like them outshining your little shiny football team.
I'm just telling you that is not what you want as your identifier. At Tennessee, they were still identified by their football program, even when the women were great in basketball.
Catch some of the running football players off the field when
you got a
there.
small, fringe, loud group that loves women's basketball, and they make a ton of noise when they're doing well. But the majority, the people that spend the money, that fill the 100,000 plus at Tennessee, they love their basketball, their women's team, and they're glad they're good. They live and die with football. South Carolina fans live and die with their football team. They don't cry. They don't think about committing suicide when the women's basketball team loses a game. But when the football team loses a game, they're ready to jump off the Gervais Street.
Right,
who live and die. Who's more recognizable, though, Point? That's what you're saying. Nationally, you're recognized by the sport that your school excels in. If Cal, what was it in baseball? Cal State Fullerton. Nobody knew nothing about Cal State Fullerton for any other sport but baseball about 15 years ago.
But football's not emphasized.
It's funny you brought up baseball. Phil, when the Gamecocks were dominant on the baseball diamond, were they more recognizable by their football program or their baseball team? Back in the early 2010.
Baseball.
I mean, during baseball season, they were in the CWS, of course. But I mean, for the other 9 months out of the year, the fans think about nothing but football. They think about nothing. And I'm going to tell you, and we got to go, Hank, because I got to go do recruiting. You can take your laugh somewhere else. So he always laughs at what I say, Chris. I don't understand what he's laughing at. What I'm saying is they were happy. They were happy to win those baseball championships. They hadn't won anything outside of women's track prior to. So they finally won a men's national championship in a major sport, baseball. And it was great. And it was great the second time they did it, and they had a chance to do it 3 times in a row. And that was fantastic. And the fans, I'm sure they loved it. But I tell you what, had they not won, they wouldn't have been ready to cut their throats. My point is, when the football team goes bad, it drags down your entire program. It drags down your entire fan base. Because your fan base, your program, they're all bought in to football. Dawn Staley wants the Gamecock football program to be great.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
absolutely.
She wants it to be great, and, it needs to overshadow the women's basketball program. I'm sorry. That hurts some people's feelings, but it needs to.
It doesn't. And I don't know. I don't see the problem with a women's sport anywhere. When you think of the University of Connecticut, you think of their football program? Of course not.
Absolutely.
You think of their basketball
But that's
teams.
apple and orange. You're in the SEC. Okay.
But I don't see the problem. All right, Kentucky. You think of Kentucky football or Kentucky basketball. I mean, I don't see a problem with another sport
like
being
North
the
Carolina.
face of your program.
Kentucky's like North Carolina. They were raised on basketball. Okay? I'm talking about the University of South Carolina.
I don't see a problem at all with
lousy
them
football, raised on lousy football for 100 and something years, okay?
I don't see a problem with the women's basketball program being the face of that university.
Okay, well, I just can't. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Call me blind, call me ignorant. I don't see it.
But back to my original point, I don't
want your
think
football
you would
program
have
to be good enough to where
Sure.
it's the face of your program.
But that should not be the only goal. If that's the case, shut down every other sport and just put every single dollar you have into football.
I come from the Ellis Johnson School. Enough said.
But
In
I
other
still
words,
don't see it an
every
issue.
dollar-
And I doubt Shane Beamer would have a problem wearing an Asia Wilson brand.
Don't you think he'd rather be wearing a Spencer Rattler brand? Something that promotes his football
Why? Because he
program?
played 2 years at USC?
Well, did he not do a lot of good for the football program? Or maybe
They went 5-7 last year. It's not Spencer's fault.
What's so funny, Josh? You're a Florida
It's
fan,
not
man. What are you
Spencer's fault.
laughing at? All right, I got to get to recruiting.
It's a good debate we can pick up tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll pick it up tomorrow. I got to get to recruiting and then to the calmness of SC Wild. Recruiting is brought to you by Seawells, and remind you to get over to Seawells Tuesday through Friday for the daily luncheon buffet, 11 till 2. It's only $14.50, unless they've raised the price. I didn't know they were closed on Monday. I better check and see if they haven't raised the price.
No, on the website it says 14 even. But
No, it was $14.50.
Wow.
Last time I went.
Yeah, on the website it says 14 even.
Okay. And, of course, you got something requiring the best in the catering business, you just give Seawells a call and let them handle it all. 803-771-7385. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. For over 80 years, they have been making excellent food and service primary for them, for you. So let them make your event a memorable experience at Seawells. All right. To recruiting. Defensive end Jaquavius Dodd, 6'6", 225, up-and-coming prospect at Eastside and Taylor's. He's a high-level athlete, plays tight end for the Eagles in football. He's a forward on the basketball team, and he runs track. South Carolina defensive end coach Sterling Lucas has known Dodd since the summer of last year, and earlier this week decided it was time to go up and take a look at him in person. He watched him work out. He was very impressive in his spring practice, and that night he called and offered him. So Dodd was very excited about that after seeing him work out. He said he had a really good practice that day. He was very energetic. He was explosive off the ball, and he played with aggression. So about 9:30, he was sleeping. The phone rang, and it was Lucas who woke him up and told him he was being offered. Said he was stunned. He thought he was dreaming. Nope. He said he was stunned about it. He was very happy. So the Gamecocks are right in the mix with UConn and Virginia Tech. He visited Blacksburg in the spring, and he's going to visit Connecticut for an official visit June 7th, and Virginia Tech the following weekend. He and Lucas are talking about a date for an official visit to USC. Dodd also has offers from Georgia State, Gardner-Webb, Richmond, Appalachian State, Liberty, East Carolina, Miami of Ohio, Howard, and Wofford. He's also heard from Clemson with a camp invite. He plans to attend a session this summer. Florida and Alabama have also invited him down for camp this summer. Clemson target offensive tackle Mario Nash out of Mississippi. He's blowing up. He was offered by Alabama. USC offered 2026 running back Javian Mallory. Javian Mallory, 5'11", 200, Boca Raton, Florida. Rutgers transfer, this is basketball, Rutgers transfer 6'7", Mawat Mag told John Rothstein he's cut his list to BYU, Clemson, San Diego State, Southern Cal, and Southern Miss. Clemson, of course, has a visit going on this week with Miles Foster, another transfer, another 6'7" transfer, and now they're involved with this young man as well, 6'7" transfer Mawat Mag. Don't know yet if he's going to visit Clemson. All right, there you go with recruiting tonight. Sorry we couldn't get to your calls. We'll clear the lines and open things up for Major Billy Downer. Another edition of SC Wild. Love your phone calls about the great outdoors. You got a question about hunting, fishing,
alligators.
Alligators are good. How about those things that are making all that noise around the state? What
cicadas.
Those things?
The cicadas?
Yeah, I'm going to ask him about that. The cicadas. How do you kill a cicada? How do you shut them up? We'll be back in just a moment. SC Wild coming up next.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and comfy with a low tipping down to 63. Tomorrow should be a gem, mostly sunny skies, a high topping out of 85. For Friday, some afternoon rain is possible, while the weekend's shaping up to be dicey. Some storms are coming our way and cooler temperatures. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. Russian President Vladimir Putin has landed in Beijing as part of a two-day state visit to China. Putin's visit comes as Russia has become more economically dependent on China following Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine more than 2 years ago. On the eve of the visit, Putin said the Kremlin is prepared to negotiate over the conflict in Ukraine in an interview with Chinese media. The Dali container ship experienced a near-perfect storm of calamities before it struck Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge in March. But a report released Tuesday by federal investigators leaves many questions unanswered. The National Transportation Safety Board describes 4 power failures on the ship in roughly 10 hours. 2 occurred the day before the crash, and the other 2 happened in the minutes before. More details at srnnews.com.
When's the last time you took a serious look at your power bill? I'd like you to look at it. Has it gone up in the last few years? How about compared to 10 years ago? What will it look like in a few years? Look, pretty simple. If you're not happy with it, just switch power companies, right? Oh yeah, we're not allowed to do that around here. See, this isn't some cell phone deal. It's the monopoly known as your power company. Well, actually, you do have a choice. It's Broker Solar. I've known Ken and his family for almost 20 years. I trust Ken. I trust his Broker Solar team. Solar isn't free. Solar's not some gimmick. Broker Solar is local. They'll never be door knockers, high-pressured salespeople. They don't make absurd promises about the solar industry either. And Broker Solar has installed panels on over 400 homes in the Midlands. I've been out to some of these homes. The technology is incredible. Their customers are happy. And the opportunity to save money is real. Stop being so reliant on a power company. Let Broker Solar help you take control of your monthly power bill. Online, it's brokersolar.com or call Ken right now, 807-7417.
At Palmetto State Armory, we can't catch the fish for you, but we can make sure you have everything you need to have a great day on the water. Whether you're targeting bass or bluegill, stop by and shop lures from brands like Zoom, Rapala, Berkeley, and our exclusive hardbait line from Strike King. Looking for a new rod or reel? We've got options from great companies like Luz, Abu Garcia, and Shimano. Worried about the weather? We've got rain gear and apparel from Hook, Aftco, Columbia, and more. Be sure to stop by Palmetto State Armory before your next fishing trip and make it the best one yet.
Ready for an outdoor makeover? You can do it affordably today with Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio. We have beautiful, high-quality outdoor furniture in stock, including original Polly's Island, CRP, our recycled polymer line, great options from Kingston Casual and Telescope Casual too. Make a high-end statement without the high-end price. And remember, we deliver in Richland and Lexington counties too. Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, 3303 Forest Drive, jackoliverpools.com.
You don't normally call a plumber until you need a plumber. Well, if you need one today or if you need one tomorrow, I want you to remember Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Listen, I might not know all the tricks to turning a wrench, but I do know how a plumbing company should work and how to treat people. My dad was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber, and so were 3 of my uncles. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning does it right. They are the epitome of customer service. They're locally owned and operated, and Josh and his team, well, they put customer service as the top priority for Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. I've never known a business owner more intent on making it a great experience for people. And let's face it, when you have a plumbing crisis, well, that could be traumatic. They specialize in service and replacement issues for your home or for your business. They've been to my home and fixed 3 different plumbing issues I had in the house. If you need them, they're there to help. Online at franklinplumbing.sc.com or call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning 799-2222. That's 799-2222. And tell them Kev sent you from The Point.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk on this Wednesday night. In just a moment, we'll have Major Billy Downer from DNR with us, and we will begin our edition of SC Wild from DNR here on Sports Talk. If you have a question for the Major, something to do with the great outdoors, you can give us a call, 888-898-2525. We'll take your call, take your comments, take your questions. Plenty to talk about around the state of South Carolina, about things happening outdoors. Major Downer can answer all those questions for you, and we're in the process of getting him connected here momentarily, so we should have him on board here in just a second. In the meantime, while we're doing all that, I will update a couple of things and tell you that our poll question of the week, still have a chance to open that, to take a look at that, rather. Open it up on our Twitter page, our X page, at Sports Talk SC. And that poll question is, will South Carolina qualify for a bowl game in 2024? Right at 500 votes, 491 are in. 52.1% say yes, Gamecocks will make it to a bowl game. 47.9% say they will not. So pretty tight vote on that particular poll question. Like I said, you still have time to get in there and answer that poll question to your satisfaction. Let's see. What else do we have here? Any connection yet with the Major? Well, let's go ahead and take James in Sumter. James has been waiting. We'll take that call. In the meantime, we'll be trying to connect with Major Downer for SC Wild. James, welcome into Sports Talk. As we wait for Major Downer, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'll call back tomorrow. I got some football questions and a joke. But
no, you can go with that now because we haven't started SC Wild yet. We're waiting to connect with the Major. So if you got a football thing, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I have some questions for the Major too. But hey, I don't know if you guys, remember a guy, Iraq's press minister, Mohammed. I can't even pronounce his last name, Mohammed Saeed. They called him Baghdad Bob. He was that guy standing on CNN long time ago during the Gulf War.
Yeah.
And, Iraq was getting bombed, and he was saying everything is okay.
Yep.
That's how I see Jim Phillips. This guy, the ACC is about to fall, and I saw his comments today that the ACC is on solid ground. Like, dude, what planet are you on? And I was just wondering, where do you guys – I think Florida State, they're going to the Big Ten. But where – Clemson, is all kind of rumors about Clemson. Some people are saying South Carolina don't want them in. The SEC is not going to want them. The Big Ten is like saying, we kind of want FSU and UNC first. They would take Clemson if they would take Clemson as kind of, maybe the second or third team. And I've been hearing they would like to take Clemson maybe even over Miami. Where do you think Clemson is going to go when the ACC does fall?
Well, the way you make it sound is kind of what's in my head. It's anybody's guess. Of course, my first reaction would be the SEC. More natural fit for them. It fits with their overall athletic program being so football-oriented, football-heavy. So that would be – and, of course, the money would be much better, not as much as what the Big Ten is distributing right now, but better than what they're getting in the ACC. And I agree with you. Reading Jim Phillips' comments today certainly made it sound like, he is sitting there playing his fiddle while everything around him is burning up. He's like, yeah, everything's going to be fine. And, listen, what's he going to say, though? What's he going to say to the public? And He's not going to tip his hand on what's really happening behind the scenes, and he's not going to criticize, say anything that could be used against him in a court of law and all that kind of stuff. All right, look, I got to table this. I'll put you back on hold since you have questions for the Major, because we've got Major Downer connected with us now for SC Wild.
Now on Sports Talk, it's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to take your questions about the great outdoors in South Carolina. Give him a call at 888-898-2525. It's SC Wild from DNR on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
All right, time to welcome in Major Billy Downer, another session of SC Wild from DNR here on Sports Talk. Major, good to have you with us. How are you?
Great to be here, sir. Sorry for being a few minutes late, but we're here.
That's quite all right. I always say things don't begin till I arrive, and with you, SC Wild doesn't begin until you arrive.
There you go. Yeah.
Doesn't matter when you get there as long as you get there. All right, first thing I want to throw at you, and I know you got some things you want to comment on and talk about as well.
Sure.
I want to ask you about, and I just stumbled upon this because I was up early one morning and turned on the television and started watching it. The Bassmaster Classic held last weekend at Lake Murray. Lake Murray. And I was watching these guys out there. First thing I would tell you that none of them were wearing life jackets or anything, but they're professionals. But watching these guys pulling these big bass out of the lake and all that, how involved is DNR in that event? Do you guys get involved in some way, number one? And number two, from an outdoorsman standpoint and a fishing standpoint, how big is that event for the state of South Carolina?
All right, so multiple questions there. Let me kind of hit those from different angles. First of all, let me back up and start the first question. What are we involved? So DNR is not involved in the BASS, the Bassmasters, because they have their own. They did it on Lake Murray, and they did the weigh-in right there, and they have their own basically boats to transport fish. Where we are involved a lot of times, if they do an off-site weigh-in where fish are taken in boats and they do the weigh-in, they pick them up, you see them putting them up and doing the weigh-in off-site. We have tanks and things available to help transport fish, keep them healthy, and take them back to whatever various lakes across the state that they use. But when they do it right there on site at the landing, so to speak, there's not a need for transport, and they had their own transport boats there, so they took care of it. I talked to our fisheries chief, Ross Self, and he was explaining to me how because I knew that you were going to ask that question, just what we did this past time, and that was the answer. We weren't involved in BASF and the Bassmasters, but we have been involved in the past, FLW and the new series now, when they ask, for these big tournaments, large tournaments, when they go to do this huge stage performance and, bring the fish out, that we help get the fish back. Purpose of that is, of course, the safety of the fish, keep the fish alive, get them back to the lake. And the good news is a lot of people may not understand that. In these bass tournaments, they're not taking fish out of the lake and keeping them.
Mm-hmm.
Those fish are actually transported back and released back in the lake. And I can tell you this, things I know from studies that have been done on Lake Marion at the John C. Calhoun ramp, John C. Land ramp, not John C. Calhoun, the John C. Land facility there on Tawkaw Creek, when they will release fish there, you think, and you can, the next day, if you go fish around the bank, you're going to have 8 and 9, 10-pound fish everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are some there, but eventually they make their way back, even to the other lake, to the lower lake from the upper lake, to where they came from. So that's been proven. The fish actually move back to where they came from. So it's pretty interesting that they, in a sense, quote unquote, migrate. Now,
do you find that most of the fish that are taken in the tournament, and then they're put in the wells, and then they're kept until they're weighed and then displayed, and then you want to take them back, most of them survive all that and they're good to go when you put them back in the lake?
There's a pretty good survivability factor for sure. Now, you're not going to sit here and say that there's not any that there's not any die.
Yeah.
There certainly are some that die. But to that point, at least they are trying to take all these fish back and put them back.
Yeah.
Most of them live, and they do a pretty good job of keeping them. And I don't know what the percentages are. I can ask that question for later. That most of those fish do live, but there are small percentages that do die from shock or whatever else. So that does happen. But again, the point being that these tournaments are now releasing fish. They don't keep them, and take them home, fry them all, and all the fish are gone. The fish get put back in the lake where they came from. So that's pretty neat when you think about that from that standpoint. Now, you ask another question, what does this mean to the local area? I can tell you that economically across the state, bass tournaments bring in it's several $1 million to the state a year. It's incredible. Because what you have to think about, hotel stays, food, restaurant industry, everybody these places, people come, they stay places, they eat places, they spend money. So that industry is huge as far as bringing in. It's a pretty good industry for South Carolina as far as a tourism standpoint, if you want to call it tourism, to host these tournaments on all of our lakes. Lake Murray, Lake Marion, Santa Cooper Lakes. And then you got up in the upstate, Hartwell. So a lot of our lakes have these type tournaments, and they bring a lot of attention. So it's pretty good economically for our state as far as that goes, and it's particularly in the local economy where you have hotels, restaurants, things of that nature.
Outstanding. We're visiting with Major Billy Downer. It's S.C. Wild from DNR here on Sports Talk. Take some phone calls for the Major, 888-898-2525. Couple of lines are open. You can get through to him. And James was with us a moment ago talking some football, but he also had a question or two for you, Major. So, James in Sumter, thank you for hanging on. You're on with Major Billy Downer.
Okay. Hey, Major. Hey, thank you for taking my call tonight, y'all. You guys love the show. I got 3 questions for you. They're all kind of loaded. So, one, what are we going to do about turkey season? Are they going to push turkey season back to April the 12th or something like that? That's one, because I love to hunt turkeys. Number 2, I was talking to a lady last year that lives in Manning, South Carolina, near the lake. And she said that she saw a snake, and this is a credible person. This lady said this snake was so big that was crossing the road that she stopped her car. She drives a little Toyota. She stopped the car and was scared to death at how big it was going across the road. So my question is, in South Carolina, are we having any invasive species coming up from Florida, the big pythons or something? And my last question is, what is the most dangerous lake with the biggest gators? We were debating, me and some of the guys were debating this. Is it Santee, Marion, or is it Lake Moultrie where the biggest gators are found in South Carolina? And I'll hang up and listen, man. Love the show.
Thank you.
That's 3 loaded questions.
That's a man after my heart there at the very end. He's after my heart there, Major.
He brought you in, no doubt about it. So let's go. Question 1 was about turkey season. So currently, the turkey season, again, we are a legislative state. What that means is that our General Assembly, our state legislature, they determine our seasons. It's all set by law. There is a bill going through concurrently House and Senate that would change turkey season, and our department has been in support of the change in turkey season. We've talked about this on the show prior to turkey season. We had Jay Cantrell here. We've talked about that, but once again, where it's going to land right now, don't know. Don't even want to speculate where the dates would end. I will tell you that what the department had presented was that there was the presentation or the department's view of turkey season was we needed to move the start dates back to allow time for turkeys to nest, the turkey hens to go to nest. In other words, if they go into nest, that means they've been bred by the tom. So giving the toms time to breed before we shoot them if they got shot or taken by a hunter. So giving them time to breed to carry that species on. So that was part of it. Moving the start date back away from March into March and more into April. That's one of those things. The second thing was reducing the limit down to 2. And that was mainly our stance, was trying to reduce the limit to 2, because I can tell you myself in my area, in the area where I hunt on my end of Sumter and Old Clarendon, there are less birds than there used to be. Mm-hmm. And everybody sees that differently. It depends on where you are. Some people see plenty of birds. They're like, well, we don't understand why you wanted to cut the limit. Well, your area may be blessed with lots of turkeys, but across the state, most people are seeing a downtrend in the number of turkeys. So again, moving that start date, I think the studies showed that April 10th was when most hens had gone to nest. So that was a date that had been pushed around. But again, we don't know when the date's going to be in there. And, that was really the department's stance. There's been some talk of safety issues like fanning. Those issues always get brought up. Fanning's where somebody takes a fan, a turkey fan or a simulated turkey fan, and uses it to conceal themselves. And because of the way a gobbler or a male turkey reacts to a fan, they will actually come at you if you're holding a fan and walking toward them or kneeling and crawling. But the problem with that is generally people are sitting behind a fan with a gun. That is illegal on our WMAs on public land because it's a safety issue. This definitely is, because you're pretending to be a turkey. Not only are you pretending to be with sound, you're actually looking like you're trying to look like one walking with a fan, and that's just a hunter education no-no. That's you're waiting for a misidentification of target all day long. So that's basically turkey season in a nutshell. Second thing you talked about was snakes. At this time, I am not aware of any large boa constrictors, pythons that we have a problem with in South Carolina. We don't have a problem with that. The reason the Everglades does, Florida, which is extreme south of Florida, again, south of Florida, their temperature is more tropical. They don't get the freezes and things down there in that lower portion enough that would prevent a snake like that from living. So snakes like that can't survive a cold winter. Fortunately, in South Carolina, we have cold winters, cold enough that would prevent a snake like that from surviving. Does that mean that there are no boa constrictors? That somebody didn't let one out? It doesn't mean that. Because I can tell you people are still, well, I hate to use the word stupid, but people sometimes just don't think. And they let things go. That's what happened with the tegus. We had the problem with the tegus, which are the lizards we have in the state that are surviving because people had them as pets and let them go. And so we create our own problems by letting things go. Fortunately, though, those big snakes don't survive in our environment typically. So, but to date, we don't have a problem. Nothing near or even resembling Florida. Not even aware of one, but I'm not saying that somebody wouldn't let one out and be silly, But again, our cold winters do help us. So that's question 2. So no boas going across the road that would be that big, or anacondas, nothing like that.
No.
So number 3, alligators. So as far as alligators, the biggest alligators, the meanest again, alligators, we've talked about this before. We have more alligators than we ever have. So we have more human-alligator interaction. Unfortunately, that means that the alligator loses because the alligator has a brain the size of a walnut, tells them to do 2 things, again, neither of which I want him to do to me. That's reproduce or eat. So as far as the big alligators, toss up Lake Marion, Lake Moultrie, I'm not sure that there's a winner there either way because there's some pretty large gators also on the coast on some of the plantations where you have really fertile marsh areas with lots of food sources. So there's some really big gators down there as well. Between Lake Marion and Lake Moultrie, again, toss up. There's 13-footers there and larger. I've told the story years ago. Over 26 years ago, I was a part of removing a 13-foot zero gator, and 6 inches of his tail had been bitten off. Probably when he was younger. But anyway, that was a long time ago, 800 pounds, large gator. And the only reason we removed him, because he was in the refuge area, was because he had been shot with a fishing arrow through the back and the stomach. That was before he even had a alligator season. So somebody night fishing shot him with an arrow, and he was like a periscope, go up and go down. So he was suffering, so we removed him. But again, there are 13-foot gators in Marion and Moultrie. Toss up, can't tell you which one's bigger. I can tell you that. They're there. But there are also some big ones on the coast, and I will say that. So I would reserve the coast as a possible site for a large gator as well.
How about the Waccamaw?
Yeah, the Waccamaw Basin, yep. When you go down, you get to the coast and the coastal areas, yes. Those are opportunities as well.
Yeah. All right, great question. We got a couple of minutes left. I want to ask you about, am I saying them right, cicadas?
Cicadas.
Tell me about cicadas, and what are we going to do about it? Are they a problem in South Carolina?
No, I'm aware of a cicada is a beautiful noise at night you hear. When you hear that noise at night in the country, that's a cicada.
But aren't people? Did I not read something about people complaining about them or something?
Well, I might. I don't know. I am not an entomologist, so I'm not big on the insects. I will look into that. There's a problem. I'm not aware of it, but that's just part of country living.
Mm-hmm.
You hear them at night. You hear that beautiful sound, that buzz sound in the middle at night.
Are we having an overflow? Are we having an overflow of them in the state?
Not that I'm aware of. We haven't been in. We don't have a plague that I'm aware of. No, I'm not aware of any plague of cicadas. No, not overrunning us. No.
All right, that's good. That's good. You got anything you want to toss out there that's on your mind?
So now you throw me 4 curveballs tonight. I've handled all of them.
Yes, you have. Like an Aaron Judge home run. He hit one 467 just a minute ago. That's what you did. You hit these out of the park like Aaron Judge.
Well, I can tell you right now, the big focus is boating season. As we get ready for Memorial Day coming just around the corner. Again, want to urge folks to just be careful when you go out in the water. Make sure you do your pre-inspections on your boat. Look for your safety equipment. Make sure you have all that safety equipment on your boat. Make sure you have life jackets for everybody on the boat. They fit everybody that's going to be on the boat, and that they are in good working condition, and that they are in a location that you can get them if you need to in a time of an emergency. And that would not be under your seat locked up. So lots of options out there, Phil. You talked about the bass pros out there fishing. A lot of them do not wear life jackets when they're actively fishing. But when they put the motor in gear, they got to have a life jacket on. I think that's one of the rules.
Okay.
So they do have life jackets in the boat. Most of them are going to wear inflatables because it's very easy for them to wear, particularly in the hot months. Sometimes they'll wear a float coat during the winter months, but as it gets warmer, they're going to wear the inflatables, which are easily worn. Again, that's a good suggestion for anybody who wants to have a life jacket that's not very hefty, not bulky like your Type 2s. And we'll do a show in the future and talk about the new numbering system for life jackets, because that's now changed the Coast Guard as well. So that might be confusing for folks. We'll go over that, but not tonight. It's going to take a whole show to kind of go through those numbers a little bit.
Let me ask you this, too.
The old Type 1, Type 2, Type 3 is gone, and they're using a different numbering system.
Okay. I want to ask you, too, going back to the Bassmasters and these professional fishermen, how cool, because I know you're into boats, how cool are their boats?
Oh, they're very nice. They got all the right stuff. So that's one of the things I can tell you. Electronics has changed so much now. They have a fish finder at the driver's seat. They got a fish finder at the front. They may have a fish finder at the back. They got screens everywhere. They've got 3D and clear view and all these things where they can actually see a fish on the bed, and it looks like a fish. It's almost like looking at a video. In fact, some of them are like video, where you can actually see the fish. It's almost unfair how accurate they are. And I've heard talk amongst the groups that they should outlaw that because it makes it unfair. But this technology has gotten so good that even offshore, where they're doing these huge marlin tournaments, they can see a marlin 150 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
And
part of the deal,
drop the ballyhoo, and off they go.
And part of the sport, part of the challenge, and part of the sporty side of it is what? To be able to go find the fish. And if you've got this great electronic stuff, right, it just gives you such an advantage?
It does. It does. So that's some of the argument with electronics. But electronics absolutely have come very far. And for those that are interested in fishing and want, you can buy them, relatively cheap. They're under $1,000 now, $400 or $500 for a baseline unit that'll give you lots of visual, good graphics, good mapping systems. Again, it's changed fishing from the past for sure. That's why, remember, Phil, I talked about having Roland Martin and them, and getting to meet them was so cool because they didn't have that way back.
Yeah.
They actually had to look for fish and fish. And they really built this business for these guys that are coming in now. And things are changing and technology changes. But and the whole thought of that is when technology changes like that, you got to think about the resource. You want to make sure we have fish for the future. And you don't want to fish out an area or make it so easy to take fish that there's no chance.
All right, Major, we got to wrap it, sir. We certainly enjoyed it. Great stuff from you as always, and hope you have a great couple of weeks. We will talk to you again sometime in June, early part of June.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
You too, sir. Major Billy Downer from the Department of Natural Resources, SC Wild, right here on Sports Talk. That's a wrap. Thank you, Chris Bergen, and thank you, Josh Cohen, and thank you all for being with us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night right back here on Sports Talk.